I think he might go on the plane.
Do you?
I do.
It is mad.
I know.
That would be a shout, wouldn't it? I don't know whether Finn Russell is Andy Farrell's 10.
Really? Let's go with it. Let's go with it. Wow.
You're welcome, Andy Farrell. Hello and welcome to Hits Different. We're proud to be partnering with our good friends at Thatcher's Gold. Shout out Thatcher's Gold. Good on them. What a company. So back in October, we picked our starting 15 for the first test in Australia. We're going to revisit that now, 6 months on. See who's in, see who's out. Our opinions, but get at us with yours. Let's start with the front row, Aki. Who did we have back in October?
So we went Genge, George and Furlong. I like that we need to keep reiterating in October, but a lot's changed. Obviously, Jamie was England captain then. He's obviously no longer England captain, but still doing a really good job off the bench. This Six Nations obviously started against Italy. So let's start in the middle there. Let's start with hooker, shall we? And that's a strange place to start, but...
Yeah, I like your start. I think, and I don't feel like Jamie will be annoyed at us with this, I think Dan Sheehan is probably the best hooker in the world right now. Yeah. He's come back fit. 5 months into an ACL injury, came back and played in the Six Nations. Unbelievable. I think he starts at hooker. For me, Jamie George is on the bench. Yeah,
I remember having that debate at the time. It was a toss-up at the time, wasn't it? And I think he's just pushed himself further ahead, hasn't he? Yeah. Further ahead than anybody else. Obviously, there'll be a conversation as to whether Cowan Dickey's now going. He's on that plane as well. So,
you know, Dewi Lake.
Yeah, exactly. Is he? Yeah. A good end to the season. There's a lot of these boys I think Faz would have had in their squad, but we're saying as we stand, Sheehan is going to be starting wearing that number 2. Yeah.
And in October, you went Genji, I went Porter. I'm happy now that I think Ellis Genge will start in the first test.
I think he's silent. It's not critics, because people have always been very positive about Genji, but the other areas, he's always been very special in certain areas, and the other areas just seem to have come together well. Yeah. The whole scrum's gone well for England at quite a lot of times during the Six Nations. Things like that people have been quick to pick up on for him. So, I'm happy to stick with him. We got a lot of abuse, particularly about that front row back in October. So
we did.
So we'll probably get a bit more abuse now.
I'd
have thought. Yeah, a few Scots were very disappointed with the Schumann not being in and around it as well. So, but we're going to stick with it and annoy people.
I think we are. I will probably have a bit of bias because England finished the tournament really strongly.
Yeah, we're riding the wave.
Scotland didn't again.
Didn't get started again.
Yeah.
Down the lens there, yeah.
Tight head, probably the most important position on the field. We went for Furlong in October. Furlong's only played one game. So he only came back for one. Is he still your starter?
I think he wouldn't have had to play from October to now. I think he's that far ahead of everybody that he's...
Big Will Stewart did very well for England, didn't he?
I think he's probably played his way onto the plane, Will Stewart. I think he has had... this is not a slight on Will. I didn't realise he was even close to 50 caps.
Yeah.
And then to have that, so you just imagine the amount of experience he's got being around that squad for 50, not necessarily being the starter for a long time, but he has been brilliant. And he's now looking so much like an international tight head.
He is. I think everyone was saying, we're crying out for another tight head after Dan Cole to come and fill this void. They had one.
Yeah.
In the squad.
Bit of confidence. He's
just
got that.
Wanted to be backed.
He's got that situation at Bath where he basically plays 50-50 as well. It's a lovely position to be in, isn't it?
But you want to go Furlong still? Stewart on the bench?
I think as it stands, that will be the 2, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Furlong's in. So front row of Genge, Sheehan and Furlong. Right, second row. Who do we have last time?
We had Marrow, who has probably done himself no harm this Six Nations.
I think we can finish the conversation there.
Yeah.
He's 4.
And it's done, isn't it? And they'll now come into consideration as to whether he's going to wear the armband as well, I imagine. Not a conversation for now, but if you do that as your first chance as England captain, you do that, you turn, at times they may have got a little bit lucky, but you turn it into a positive campaign.
Yeah.
His name will be in the hat, but we had Itoje and Byrne.
Yeah, we did. I still really like Tyke Byrne.
I don't think anything's changing there.
Okay, we're happy to go with the same.
Got it right, didn't we?
We're not bad, are we? Not bad at this.
We got it right. This is where it might fall down a little.
Back row, are we going to change? Now, we did have a bit of an outlier here.
We perhaps had a slight bias in because we're both big fans of Courtney. and I still believe there was reason to the madness, and it wasn't madness that he's playing second division in France, but he could still do it.
Yeah. See, I actually think Courtney still could do it. It's just whether the powers that be feel like he hasn't been playing consistently against top level.
I think should we park Courtney because he's not been in the conversation?
Yeah.
But there's a lot. I think if we, again, the bias comes in here and people will shout, but if we just talk through England's back row options, because they have been very, very good. Both the Currys have been exceptional. Ben Earl has been consistently good for the last year and a half, 2 years even. Tom Willis came in and did well. And then
Chandler Cunningham himself.
And then there's one that everyone's talking about is Pollock.
Henry Pollock.
I think he might go on the plane.
Do you?
I do. I think when you get players that things happen around them, it becomes special. The rest of them are brilliant players, brilliant players. I think what England have now got is 5 or 6 good options, but he doesn't have a game where things don't happen. No. I know.
That'd be a shout, wouldn't it?
I think there's a chance. I'm not just saying that for this team now, but I think there's a chance he goes.
As Jiffy said on the commentary the other day, he is the Pollocks.
I know. Made me smile. I didn't like smile.
He got someone bet him he wouldn't do that
to get it in
live TV, and he did, and he made a considerable amount of money.
Is that right?
Yes. So well done.
Good stuff.
Well done, Jiffy. So we had Laws, Doris, Van der Fleer. Now I think we have to shout out. I think Jamie Ritchie for Scotland has been brilliant.
Yeah,
I think he
agree.
may have led the turnovers or his joint top in the whole tournament. He's been brilliant. I think Jack Morgan for Wales, in a, let's face it, a really, really struggling team, has looked like a Lions test player.
Yeah,
I think he has.
He was in our conversation.
He
I actually
was.
think if we go back to Grant, I think he was my 7 in the initial team. And I think he just goes from strength. Someone compared him to what Parise was doing for Italy. He does look like that at the moment, saying he's just head and shoulders above everybody. And he's I don't think he's had a bad game since the autumn when he was awesome as well. So
should we stick him in?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So Jack Morgan's
going to start at 7. I think we leave Doris in.
Yeah.
Doris at 8. He's, Ireland have stuttered a little bit, but I think he's been very good and he's been consistent. And I don't, again, so much credit before that he'll probably still be captain and still be starting at 8. I think.
I think so, and I think both Currys have been exceptional. Ben Curry, man of the match against Wales, but I think for a test match warrior, I would want starting for me in that back row is Tom Curry.
Yeah. And again, that's probably us thinking that Faz knows him. He's been around it for a lot longer. I mean, they're essentially the same person, aren't they? But the fact that Tom has been there and done it, I think he gets a little bit more credit in the bank, doesn't he? Yeah. So,
and I think you've got a Ben Earl and potentially even a Ben Curry and a Chandler Cunningham himself all could make the plane as well.
Yeah. So,
and obviously Josh Van der Fleer, we had him originally. He's still an unbelievable player. He'll be on the plane. That back row.
Jamie Ritchie, do you think he makes the plane?
Jamie Ritchie, I think he does. Yeah.
Wants to squeeze some Scots into this squad at the moment.
Jamie Ritchie
they'll be in the the Scots will be in the comments.
No, well, I'm a big fan of Jamie Ritchie, so I think he's been lucky to miss out. But that is our pack for the first test. Genge, Sheehan, Furlong, Itoje, Byrne, Curry, Doris, Morgan.
It's good. It's very good, isn't it? Nice balance to it.
I like it.
Right, got that out of the way, haven't we?
Yeah.
On to the good stuff.
Come on.
Now there's a conversation to be had at what's happened at 10. A lot has changed since October.
Yes.
A lot of people have been introduced to a new Smith that they probably never seen before.
Smith
before watching the Six Nations. So we had Jameson Gibson Park and Marcus Smith.
Which I stand by, I still think would be an unbelievable halfback pairing.
Agreed.
For whatever reason, Marcus has found himself out of the 10 shirt and in a 15 shirt. And
it's amazing that happens when you've been the best player for your country.
It is mad.
It's just one of those things, isn't it? Apparently, if you're the best player, you get to move positions.
But I still think he's been brilliant at 15 as well.
Yeah.
Which it's a really tough one because I do think his best position still is 10.
We've been very open about you want your best players in the position they get the ball in the hands the most, and I think He's outstanding. The fact that he came on against Italy and just sort of, there was the first chance he got to really light it up, he gave everybody probably the moment in an England shirt in the last few weeks that you saw a moment of real brilliance. So he's going regardless, is still. 100%. He's not done himself, just because he's been moved out of 10, hasn't done himself any difference again on the plane, I don't think.
I think there's one player that the British and Irish Lions could call on to have in a one-on-one situation to try and win you a game in space, I think it's Marcus Smith still. Yeah. I think it is. However, Marcus moving to 15 has given Finn Smith an opportunity to wear the 10 shirt, and I think the two have looked really good on the same pitch.
Yep. Agreed.
And I also think no 10 has cemented that jersey yet. Prendergast played well, but possibly
in fits and
wasn't
starts.
Consistently brilliant. Finn Russell showed moments, but also errors. I think Finn Smith has got a massive opportunity to potentially wear that shirt because he does. I think he does all the things that a coach would want a 10 to do in a test match. And I know it's probably a lot of the selections are probably finished now. Faz will have a good idea, but he's got a big end to the season as well. Finn Smith goes well in Europe. They go on a bit of a roll in the last 6 weeks of the Premiership campaign. All of a sudden, you're looking at him in more big games that thinking he could do a job. So I think he's put himself right in the conversation, hasn't he? He has.
Dish, you've worked with Faz for a long time. What will he be looking for in this 10 going on tour? The starting 10 for the first test?
Yeah, I think the big thing is control. Like he'll want a 10 that can control and lead the team around, do the basics incredibly well, and not make too many mistakes. Which is why, for all Finn Russell's brilliance, he has got an error. You saw with a little one-handed offload against France at the weekend, it bounced the wrong way, they went and scored. Like he will not want his 10 to be doing and offering up opportunities like that so easy. So that's why I don't know whether Finn Russell is Andy Farrell's 10, which maybe then I think opens the door for a Finn Smith or a Prendergast, who you would probably say are a little bit more cautious and guide the team around really well. I was watching the best view in the house, bird's eye, of watching Finn Smith guide the team around. Thought he did it brilliantly. Yeah. And I know that's maybe recently biased because it's so happened the other day, but I think Andy Farrell would have watched that and gone, I like this kid. I like what he's done.
I think he looks like, and it's not saying George is over there, he has got a 40 feel to him, hasn't he? A sort of a...
He was brilliant when he came on as well.
Brilliant when he came on, yeah. And I think he becomes the forgotten man quite quickly, doesn't he? Because we're quick to move past people and get excited by the new sparkle that is Finn Smith at the moment. Marcus was that, apparently, and suddenly we have to move him out of position. So what are we going with then? So we're sticking with Gibson Park, although in the nine shirt, I think Thomas Williams it's been tough for him, but let's be honest, behind that pack. I think he probably still goes on tour based on what he's done this season. Yeah. And he needs to pick some Welsh on tour. It comes down, I don't want to say it, but it's going to come down to that situation, isn't it?
I think our three are the same. I think it's Gibson Park, Mitchell, and Thomas Williams.
Mitchell's stock's risen?
Mitchell's stock's risen. I thought he ended the tournament really, really well. At the start, I think we were just wanting him to get going, and he got going those last two games. If he is going to play Finn Smith at 10, that helps Mitchell a lot. But I think Jamison Gibson Park over the last few years has shown that he is probably the second best 9 in the world behind Antoine Dupont. So I think Gibson Park starts
alongside.
If I was a betting man of what I think it will be, I think it will be Finn Smith.
Really? Let's go with it. Let's go with it.
Yeah, but I'm going to caveat this by saying the other Smith is also starting in this backline, I think.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, we'll have to dive into this, but I think it will still, at the moment, I think it's still Finn Russell's to throw away still. And I know he's had some moments in this Six Nations, but hey, that's a good... Let's keep Finn Smith in, because I really like it.
Okay. We'll see.
Centres, we had Bundy Aki and Ollie Lawrence. Now, we have to take Ollie out of this situation, which is brutal because he was potentially England's best player for the first 4 games.
Yeah.
obviously wish Ollie very well. But that's a big loss both to Bath's end of season chances. Obviously England are going to miss him, but I think he was dead a sort of a shoo-in, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was huge. Gutted for Ollie. And yeah, it's tough. He doesn't need us to say it, but he'll come back a better player for whatever reason. Achilles are always weird injuries, aren't they?
Yeah.
It just happens, and you just don't know why.
Yeah.
But it happened, and I think he'd have gone the Lions tour, which is really tough, obviously, for him to take. But with that, opportunities come for other people. I think Hugh Jones has maybe cemented that 13 shirt with another great campaign.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he is exciting, and if we're talking about sort of is it potentially Finn Smith going? We're looking to players who are going to light it up, aren't you? You want to find some players. If you're going to have other players in this team that are brilliant rugby players, brilliant tacticians, etc., Hugh Jones seems to make things happen. Like I said about Pollock, he's always in and around things, isn't he? So, and then the big question I think is Tuipulotu going to be back as a race against time for him to be fit? If he's fit and plays some games, I think he still goes and plays 12.
Yeah, I agree.
I think he was that good before he got injured.
Yeah.
He was definitely going to start before he got injured. He's missed the campaign, but I don't think it matters for him.
No, I think you'd be foolish as well to break up that combination.
Yeah.
12 and 13, so good together for Glasgow, for Scotland, now potentially for the Lions. So we're going Tuipulotu and Hugh Jones, centres. Okay, so we've changed a few.
Few
But
people
I think
have played,
we've been fair.
Let's be positive. I think people have played their way in as opposed to we've not mentioned anyone playing their way out, have we? Which is good.
No.
The change with Finn Smith in particular, that's a positive change, isn't it? Because someone's stepped up massively. So obviously we had a back three of Van der Merwe, Feobosu, and Furbank, which
we did.
At the time we argued the case. Talk to me about who's staying in that back three from those three.
Yeah, unfortunately, you can get injured in the worst possible times in Lions year to not show the coaches what you could really do. Van der Merwe, I think, is the most nailed-on left winger I think there can ever be for that Lions first test. Manny Feobosu hasn't played. George Furbank hasn't played. With that, opportunities have come. Tommy Freeman, for me, scored a try in every single game. Unbelievable. One of England's most dangerous-looking players. Brilliant in the air, great finisher, strong, can also play 13. 100% he goes on the tour, and I think he is front runner to start on the right wing.
I would agree. I think we said it before as well. I remember saying just before Six Nations, getting excited by him starting to show what he did last year at Saints and this year at Saints, and we've finally seen him become an international. It's like he's announced himself this Six Nations, didn't he? And he was. They said, I think he's going to start.
I think so as well. And then fullback. This is the position now where I think it's open. I think Hugo Keane had a good tournament. Blair Kinghorn, good tournament. But because of what's happened with the 10 shirt for this lad, I just don't see a world where this guy doesn't start in this Lions team for the fact that he's a game breaker and a game winner.
He has to be in, yeah. I think you're right. I think the 10 shirt is actually going to be affected by the 15 options.
Yeah.
Kinghorn being able to slot in at 10, Marcus obviously being able to do both. So do you essentially take 2 15s and 2 10s and that's your 4 covered? It gives you... This is going to be the breakdown of it, isn't it? That Faz has to play with. But Kinghorn will be very unlucky. If we start Marcus, Kinghorn will be very unlucky not to be in this team still, I think.
Yeah, he will. He will. But however, Toulouse are going to be playing still into the first couple of weeks of the Lions tour.
So,
which
it's a big factor, isn't it? So
it's a big factor. Annoyingly, he's in a brilliant team.
Have we overlooked too many Irish for this back line?
I mean, the Irish are still brilliant. I think Bundy Aki, brilliant, but they normally take him off after 50.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, maybe there's something in that.
Henshaw goes now, do you think?
Henshaw, great player. Ringrose, brilliant player. But I don't think you can argue with those two Scottish lads.
And then
Hugo Keane and James Lowe would say, but I don't think you can have Lowe and Van der Merwe on one team.
Just because they're both left wingers, or just?
I think they're both suited to the left. I think you need an out-and-out right winger. Tommy Freeman is that guy, I think.
Yeah.
I think they both tore.
Let's keep him. I think Tommy Freeman has put his hand up. He's going to be our right wing, and we'll see how the rest of the season plays out. He's got some big opportunities, big games to put his hand up again.
He does. So are you happy with
Well,
Smith
I think
at fullback? I
would always like Marcus to be in my 10 shirt, but if he can't be in my 10 shirt, he's going to be wearing 15.
Well, that's what we do.
Yeah,
here. The show is called Hits Different.
We're getting him in somehow, aren't we?
That's
He's
what
got
we
to
do.
be in.
And M. Smith is wearing the 15 shirt. And I'll be honest, mate. I'm looking through this squad. I'm going to name it now. I really like this squad for the first test against Australia.
It's a nice balance, isn't it?
Ellis Genge, Dan Sheehan, Tyg Furlong, Mara Itoje, Tyg Byrne, Tom Curry, Caelan Dorris, Jack Morgan, Jamieson Gibson Park, Finn Smith, Tui Pelotu, Hugh Jones, Duran van der Merwe, Tommy Freeman and Marcus Smith at fullback.
I think it's fair as well. I was trying to do the maths quickly on the splits around the teams, and I think obviously the Irish will probably feel a little bit hard done to, but I think it's fair. I think it's there or thereabouts, isn't it?
Let us know your thoughts. That is our 15 for the first test in Australia. You're welcome, Andy Farrell.